Emergency teams are on standby in Gauteng after the SA Weather Service predicted thunderstorms and possible heavy rains. But for more on this, we are now joined in our Johannesburg studio by the Johannesburg Emergency Management Services spokesperson, Mr. Robert Mlauzi. Robert, thank you so much for coming once again.
Morning to the viewers.
Now, which areas face possible flooding?
Yeah, in the city of Johannesburg, the most flood-prone areas will be Deep Slot, Kaya Sand, Clip Down in Soweto, and also Ivory Park and some parts of Dobsonville. So those are the areas of which we have been monitoring from yesterday throughout the night. We also got some reports yesterday in some parts of North Riding where some roads were flooded. We just want to thank also the motorists that we didn't get incidents of maybe vehicles being swept away or any flooding incidents.
Now, in situations like these, how closely do you work with the weather services?
Yeah, we have got a good partnership with them because now and then we'll get warning messages like what we got over the weekend to say that we might get possibility of flooding. So what we together with over and above the the messages we get from the weather service, we also have got our automatic rainfall systems which assist us also to monitor the rainfall patterns and also to create awareness. In the process, we are able to disseminate information to the most vulnerable areas. You will understand that within the city of Johannesburg, we've got about 175 informal settlements, areas which are informal. And those will be the most vulnerable, areas which are prone to this flooding. Yep. So we need to, areas like Straight Line, Alexander, those are the areas where we have been monitoring to make sure that we can be able to disseminate information to evacuate the people who are along the riverbank.
Now, SABC News had reported widely in KZN where approximately 60 homes had been flattened due to heavy rains, including a shop owner's store. What are the do's and don'ts in Gauteng should, heavy rains occur and residents find themselves in a very compromising situation?
Yeah, I think those who have got an opportunity to watch television, they need to, listen to radio. That's where we disseminate most of the information to say there's a possibility of flooding in those areas. And those, the people who are mostly in the low-lying areas, they need to monitor the water levels. And also we've seen most of the time when there's rains like this, young children tend to be, adventurous or tempted to, swim in these river streams, because most of the river streams now within the city of Johannesburg, like Klip Valley in Soweto and also Chaskey alongside in Alexander, the water levels, are higher now. So they might be tempted to go and swim in those areas. Yeah. So we want to advise parents out there to monitor, the children, stay away from those areas. They need to stay away from drainage systems, because we've seen previously where, young children also tend to, play in those areas. And also motorists, I think they have been working together with us. I need to commend them for their, conduct, to say that they need to avoid the flooded roads and flooded bridges to avoid maybe their vehicles being swept away by, this flooding.
Now, we tend to see most evacuation measures being for human beings. What about pets?
Yes, we have got a partnership with welfare organizations like SPCSA and the others organizations which work with animals in distress. So even though our focus is mostly, will be mostly, the people out there, but we've got that good partnership to say if we do have situations like that, we can be able to activate them to work with us. This is over and above the mitigation strategy which we have throughout the city. Obviously, we don't work alone. We've got other stakeholders within the city, departments like JRA, housing, Metropolitan Police, and also parks and so that when we have an emergency, for instance, if a tree fell into the road, just like what happened yesterday in Bryanston, we can be, because obviously we'll be the first, respond in those in that kind of an incident. Yeah. Obviously, we'll activate the relevant stakeholders so that we can have a, we can be able to mitigate some of the, injuries which might occur throughout the city. And
speaking of your relationships with some of your stakeholders, what is the plan behind roads when it comes to those roads that are prone to flooding?
Yeah, obviously, I think our colleagues from JRA, they've already issued some, statements to say there are areas like, for instance, the double-decker highway, where most of the time we do have flooding. So we'll be the first people to respond to such incidents. But however, I'm happy that they've already plans there. Those areas are due for repairs in this year. Or already we're on the 4th day of the year already. So we should be able to see some of the repairs done in those areas.
And you mentioned a few tips that you gave to residents to ensure that they protect their children from the dams or any flooding whatsoever that's occurring around their residences. But what is the role of residents just in ensuring that manholes are free from blockages?
Yeah, the residents have got a huge role to play, even though we understand that, people out there, they tend to clean, which is good. We need to keep our environment clean. But we've seen when they clean the environment or areas, they tend to put, this debris on the drainage systems. In the process, they are actually blocking, that drainage system. It cannot be able to, flow the water if there's, floods. So we advise them to make sure that they don't put these debris like trees and, soil into the drainage system so that we can avoid some of the flooding incidents.
And once again, Robert, just before we let you go, any contact details that residents can still make use of?
Yeah, for any life-threatening emergency, they can contact us on 10177, or which is a toll-free number, or 112 on the cell phone.
Thank you so much, Rod Mulauzi, Johannesburg Emergency Management Services spokesperson. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty then, that's our spokesperson from the Johannesburg Emergency Services, just telling us more about what residents can do should they face or find themselves in a compromising situation, especially with our weather, where we are currently facing thunderstorms and heavy rains in Johannesburg specifically.